welcome to the Marshall News and Views Show. I'm Elaine Conyers, and I have some very interesting guests today. Of course, we always do, right? But these people here are from MnDOT, and as you know, MnDOT has been doing a lot of work here in Marshall the last few years, and they're continuing to do work, especially with our Highway 23. And so I'm so glad to have you here, and I'll introduce Lindsay Knutson, who is the Planning Director and Project Manager of MnDOT District 8. And so you're located in Wilmer.
Yes.
Spend a lot of time in Marshall, I bet.
We do.
We do. And then our other guest here is Leif Garnes, who is the Senior Associate and Project Manager of the Consulting Group Incorporated. And he actually comes out from Minneapolis. It's a long drive, isn't it?
It's a nice drive.
It's good.
Really nice
I
drive.
like that. So thank you so much. And you, like I say, you're doing a lot of stuff here. And if you could just tell me about the Marshall area Highway 23 safety assessment that you're looking at. Who is conducting it? Is it you? And the assessment, and then what's it all about?
Sure. So MnDOT had initiated this assessment, about 9 months ago or so, because Marshall has grown over the years quite a bit.
Yes.
The character of Highway 23 has changed a little bit in that time with the growth, and we had been experiencing just some issues with how it functions now versus how it did years ago.
Yep.
And so we've been working with the city and the county and the Marshall Area Transportation Group to study the corridor, to develop future projects that we could do to make it safer, function better, and just enhance the corridor as a whole. And so that's where we hired SRF to come in and lead the study with us.
And of course, that section of 23 and Saratoga, you worked with that also, right?
Right. The city submitted an application for funding with a program that was called SIMS, and so they got a grant from the Department of Transportation to do that project.
So now, I was thinking, well, that's all solved out there now. That's not the case.
Right. There are several other intersections through the corridor that we've been studying, and maybe Leif can give a little more info on them.
Certainly. So we are looking at Highway 23 all the way through Marshall. So starting clear on the southwest end of town at County Road 7, and then also working our way through Marshall up to County Road 33. And so over that stretch, what we've done is taken a look at existing traffic volumes that are out there, how many people are driving the roadway. We've taken a look at the crash history, trying to understand what has been going on over the last couple of years, as well as what's causing those.
Sure.
And then we've also taken a look at the speed and how fast people are traveling through the corridor here. And so, as Lindsay mentioned, we do have several other locations that have similar characteristics of Saratoga that we're trying to address here with our plan moving forward.
Can you share what you are looking at doing, or is it too early to
No, absolutely.
do that?
So right now we are looking at, we've developed preferred strategies as a group. So Lindsay mentioned the team that we're working with right now. So we're ready to roll out our preferred strategies, and it ranges anywhere from taking a look at how we can improve the signing to help alert motorists of the change in the speed limit through here. We also want to incorporate landscaping as a potential feature to help give a visual cue of different changes of the roadway. We're also spending a lot of time with recommendations for improvements to intersections such as County Road 7, 4th Street, Lion Street, and Clarice Avenue have been a real talker amongst our community involvement events. And then a lot of information has been received for the Tiger Drive area right out here.
Okay.
And so we're looking at improvements such as Jturns, what we see at Saratoga Street. We're looking at potentially roundabouts, as those are real effective tools of addressing crash problems as well as speed concerns. And then we're also looking at ways to improve the pedestrian and bicycle accommodations across Highway 23.
Now, I heard by the grapevine that that County Road 7, is it?
Mm-hmm.
That's really got a lot of people coming into town on that particular intersection. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. We do see a lot of people in the morning coming in from the southwest area, making a left turn into town, and then in the evening making that reverse movement back out. And so the way it's designed today, the median has been a real big concern for folks, and how do they drive it, and they're awfully concerned about not so much those movements, but other people trying to make movements through that intersection. So we're working really hard to address that concern.
Yeah. And so will that mean that, I'm trying to remember now, over there, is that divided highway by County Road 7?
Yeah, it's essentially divided the whole stretch.
So why would there be so many accidents on it, do you think? I don't know. I don't understand this.
Well, it's really challenging with the divided highway that we have out there today, because it's kind of, the amount of space that it's divided by is really challenging for people to understand. How do I really drive that intersection if I'm on Highway 23 and I want to make a left turn, for example, into town? Where do I stop to make that left turn? Do I yield to people who are coming from, for example, 4th Street onto Highway 23? Do I wait for them, or do I go in front of them and make my movement? So it's really confusing, and as Lindsay mentioned, initially when this roadway was designed, it was intended more to function as a bypass, and now as Marshall grows on the east side of it, we have a lot more people wanting to go across, and we start to introduce these challenges that weren't expected.
Right. Well, and then I'm sure you're aware of this, but we have 25,000 people that come into town every day and leave when the day ends. It's just an amazing thing that many people are coming in, but this is where the jobs are, and so they come in for that, and a lot of people that live in the smaller communities around Marshall, they feel that housing is less expensive there, so they're willing to make that drive. Now, is there a problem on it would be like the north intersection there? The first, the intersection is okay, right, of 23 and 19. But then the first exit off from that, I'm trying to remember what that is.
To the east of 23, by the school there, or further to the north, are we?
Further to the intersection of 23 and 19. I know how to drive it. I don't always know all the names. What other one? That's on one, that County Road 7 is on one end of town.
Oh, County Road 33 up on the north end, yep.
Yeah.
So right now we're not seeing any issues there. There's been some recent improvements, such as the acceleration lanes, and those have been received quite well from the community here. And so, that's from our standpoint right now. That's something we'd want to watch into the future if we start to see a lot of development up in that area and future growth.
Do you think we've got too many entrances and exits on that bypass, or?
That's one thing we'd like to consider is, anytime we have an entrance or an exit to the bypass, we start to introduce conflicts, and sometimes they can be severe conflicts. So we want to make sure that if there's an access that isn't necessarily needed, it's not serving a lot of people, or they have other routes to get onto 23 at an intersection that's better suited for the opportunity, then we like to take a look at making those accesses limited in some fashion.
Well, sure. Well, that sounds like it would be a good idea. And then I think you've already answered my next question is, why is 23 being studied? It's apparently because of the accidents, right?
And the change of the function of the roadway over the years with all the development that's occurred in Marshall. It functions differently now than it used to years ago.
Like with semi-trucks and stuff like that.
Right, and just the traffic volumes are, they keep increasing.
Sure,
so.
Sure. And I know that you have done a lot with engagement with the general public. You have been having meetings for the public. Now, you have one tonight, which, of course, would be when this shows, it'll probably be over with. But you have a meeting tonight for the public, right? Or is that just a select group?
No, it is an open house for the public. We will be doing a presentation during that open house, but the public engagement was really important for us in this project because of how involved the Marshall community has been with us in the Department of Transportation, and so we wanted to make sure that we were understanding what issues people had as they drove the corridor, and what their thoughts are as we move forward.
Yeah. So have you received a lot of information that way?
We have received quite a bit of information. It's been real great to do different events and reach out to a different group of audience, because each person who drives here or lives here or doesn't live here, they commute here, have a different perspective on how Highway 23 should function. And so we've had a lot of really good feedback from the public.
Good.
And the city and the chamber and county have been really instrumental in helping us get the word out. So
Good.
It's been a great partnership.
Yeah. So then what are you going to be recommending? I understand you have an assessment team, right? That's you guys, right?
Right, and the city and county and the Marshall Area Transportation
So
Group.
what kinds of things do you think you'll be recommending, or is it too early to say what that would be?
Right. No, it's not too early. It's actually perfect timing here.
Okay.
So we're going to be looking to recommend some improvements at several locations, whether it's changing how the intersection is controlled, whether it's closing an access point that we deem as a safety concern moving forward. But ultimately, it's a plan that we're developing, so it depends on funding, how things progress here over the next couple of years. But we'll be recommending improvements at several intersections. Some will just, at this point, continue to monitor. We don't see any major concerns at this point, so we'll continue to monitor those. But that's essentially what we're looking at right now is various intersection control improvements and potential signing adjustments here to help bring people aware of the conditions along the corridor.
Okay.
And for some intersections, we may have 2 or 3 options that would be viable moving forward, depending on timing and funding and public opinion and that.
So, and you said for the next couple of years, that means you're going to be here for a while. Or there'll be people. Well, of course, you have a building out here, a BINDOT building,
Right.
and so you've been here in town for quite a while. So it's really good that you come to outstate Minnesota, that's what they always call us out here, and continue to keep track of what's going on. And like you say, the funding then also comes with this. So that is great, because we need that. As you can see when you're out here, we need that kind of improvement. So, then what are some of the things that you will be talking to the public, well, tonight and then in upcoming meetings?
Sure. So tonight we are rolling out those recommended projects, and it might be 1 at an intersection or 2 or 3, and we'll have diagrams of what those look like so people can really take a look and examine what we're proposing and give us feedback. We're also hoping that people will help us prioritize the different intersections. Which one should we start with first? Of course, that's one component that we take into consideration. Funding is another one. The rules and regulations are another component. But we'd really love to get residents and people that live around here their input on the priorities, and also what the concerns are too. Rank the concerns of speed or intersection issues and that. So,
do you have any idea what you think will probably end up being the first project?
At this point, I think it's too early to say. We're really looking for the feedback from the public as a key component here to understand where they view priorities. And as Lindsay mentioned, it's just one piece of the puzzle that we're looking at here, but over the next couple months here and into late summer, early fall, when we come back, or excuse me, late summer, early fall, we'll come back with our recommendations and plan for the public. So.
Okay. And then will you start those changes since it's coming on to winter, or I suppose it depends on the weather to begin with.
Well, actually, so for all of our projects and not just particular safety improvement projects, we have a 4-year plan of projects. And
for here?
For the whole state.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for our district in District 8, which is
Sure.
the southwest 12 counties.
Okay.
And we also do a 10-year list of projects, too,
Ooh.
because we plan out 10 years in advance.
Wow, sure.
So there won't be anything starting in 2016, and maybe not even for the 2017 construction program, because our dollars are spoken for the next
sure.
several years.
Okay.
But beyond that, we'll see what opportunities might come up, or if there are project savings on other projects.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps if we develop these projects enough, there's something that we might be able to squeeze in. And
Okay.
projects take a long time to develop,
Oh,
too.
yeah.
If we need any land right of way,
Sure.
that in and of itself takes 2 years.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it will be a while,
Yeah.
but
But it's important that you're doing this way ahead of time.
Right.
And have that. It's interesting that you have that many years and way out 10 years.
I know.
Can you give me a clue what that would be?
the one thing I always say is that when we program our projects out that far and we're sharing it with communities, I say, the out years 7, 8, 9, and 10 will definitely change.
Okay,
But
yeah.
it's just to try to get a sense of what the needs are,
Yeah.
and we know what our projected funding will be.
Sure.
So we just try to plan as
Granted.
far ahead as we can.
Yeah, well, good. And so when you finish this Highway 23 bypass, then it'll probably be another 4 years or something like that before you look at the next step, or?
Well, it might and it might not, depending on the funding. Like I
Yeah.
said, some years we get some cost savings and we might be able
Yeah.
to add things in, or there might be special funding programs that don't come from our regular funding. So, we'll develop this list of projects, and then we'll determine their eligibility for funding, and then that's when we'll start looking for
Sure.
the funding.
Sure. Back to this present project, it's County Road 7, or is it a street?
Right.
No, it's a county road.
7. Yep.
And can you give us some idea of what some of the solving of that could be?
Right. One option here is looking at a Jturn, so similar to what we see at Saratoga
okay.
Street.
Yeah.
There's several different variations of that we can design into it, but essentially something like that where we can really eliminate those conflicts that are severe, which are people coming out of town trying to get on the Highway 23, specifically the ones trying to get across and make a left turn. Those are really critical movements that we want to try to minimize that conflict as much as possible. So that's a really good example of what we're looking at there.
What would be some other options for that, or is that pretty much it?
We've talked about potentially, an overpass. That's been talked about for years at County Road 7. But when we start to think of all of our needs along the corridor and the amount of money that
would
require
yes.
require to build one of those, when we take a look at how traffic moves around in that intersection and the crash problems that we see there, that's a really good alternative to help us address that issue.
Yeah. Well, I think, didn't you also consider an overpass there on Saratoga at one time? At least that's what I heard. But again, it was so expensive.
Probably at one time.
And so we have that pedestrian overpass.
Right.
And I think that's being used quite a bit,
That's what we've heard.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I have to tell you something funny about that was when that was, one of the shows here, the city engineer and I decided we should do a show out there. We would cross that pedestrian bridge, see. So the mayor asked me, okay, what are you going to do when you cross that bridge? I'll just drop things on the highway. He didn't think it was funny. But, and I think it's really good that there have been no accidents anymore down there on Saratoga, because I know from a lot of people, some people I should say, there was a lot of confusion. Well, how in the world do we do this? And I went on a couple of trips where they took senior citizens in a bus, and then we took them around there so that they could see where just exactly where they turn and everything. And I look back on that, and I wish we would have maybe taken them in a car and just one at a time, because the people towards the back of the bus couldn't see what we were doing, But we learned. We can do it differently next time.
Well, and we do have a video now up on our website of how to go through a Jturn.
I think I've seen that.
People can go online if they'd like to look at that. And one of the confusing things for this Jturn is that some of the pavement markings didn't get put in place in time due to the winter weather.
Oh, yeah.
And so now we've been working on that to finish it up.
Sure.
So hopefully it's less confusing for folks.
So, but then everybody said too, like the older adults said, well, at least we don't have to do a roundabout. That's probably simpler. I don't know.
Once you get used to them, they function fairly well, all of them. So.
Yes.
But the Saratoga Street intersection is a great example of a cost-effective way to address a safety issue and concern. So that's why we're really considering them as recommended strategies moving forward at different locations.
Sure. And I've lived here for many years, and it's how Marshall has grown and progressed. It's really something, some communities just stand still, so to speak, and go backwards. But we have really had a lot more industry come in and population then that goes with it. So it's wonderful that MnDOT is taking a look at our needs out here.
Right.
So is there anything else that you'd like to add about this whole project?
I'd like to add to Lindsay's comment about the project website. So we have lots of good information available on the site. There's videos that, as Lindsay mentioned, that the community can watch and learn more about potential improvements. We're also putting information from our open house meetings up on the website so people who aren't able to make it can view that.
Okay.
But we're also including surveys where folks can go on the website and submit some information. And then also, as always, there's contact information on the website for those folks to reach out to us to ask questions and provide input.
That's good to know, and we'll probably put that at the bottom of our screen so that people can copy that down. If you want to just tell, maybe somebody's watching and they'll copy it down, what would that website be?
We did include it in a link.
Okay, so we'll just watch the screen, yes.
It's a long URL.
Okay, I suppose those usually are.
I don't have that committed to memory yet. So.
And for some of us, it's really confusing to try to do all these things on the computer,
Well, and we have had paper surveys. We have them wherever we go, so people can fill them out on a piece of paper and just get them back to us. So we're trying to get as much input in as many ways as possible.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm just so glad that you're doing that for our community, because that speaks very well of MnDOT. It really does, so we appreciate that.
Well, and thank you for, helping us get the word out in places like this, and other city and county and chamber staff to help us get the word out too. It's been really important.
Good.
As far as where we go from here, is we have our open house, as you mentioned tonight, and we'll be working with the project team over the next month and start to finalize our recommendations as a group, and then come back to the public here in late fall, early summer.
Okay. And well, we'll have you back at those times so that the public can be brought up to date, and not just with the newspaper, but a lot of people do watch television, watch public access television. And one nice thing about that too is that if people live outside the outskirts of Marshall, they can still get that by going on their computer, Right. And so, it's out there for everybody. When you want to have time to look at it and everything. I know we laughed about one time at a city meeting. Somebody from the city staff mentioned, "Oh, if you're in Australia and you want to watch the News and Views show, you can still do it." So wow. So, well, we'll certainly want to have you back at this fall and then also next spring. Any comments you'd like to make about our city? You've been around here for a while now, so what do you think?
It's a very vibrant community, and you definitely can see the involvement from all the businesses in the city. And yeah, it's grown tremendously in an area where not many cities are. So
that's
congratulations.
Right. Yeah.
And that's really helped us with the public involvement piece, where we have a wide variety of folks that come to our events, and so we get a wide variety of
Sure.
input, and that's been really helpful.
Good.
We really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I was into history for many years, and Marshall has always been the regional center of Southwest Minnesota, and we continue to be. But like I say, you just don't sit there and hope that you continue to be. You got to work at it, and that a lot of the members of our community have done that, so that we remain that regional center. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, we're glad to have people come out here and visit and everything. So, again, thank you for all your tremendous work, and we will be seeing you again at some more of the public meetings. Thank you.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you for having us.